Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. Liz, another episode of our Wednesday webinars here. So it's
Can't wait.
awfully excited here. So we are also doing a little live streaming on YouTube again, which seems to be really good for current customers to kind of check it out. And I got to tell you, Liz, you're sitting in London, I'm sitting in LA. I'm getting more and more good feeling about the vaccines and the globe opening up. So keep up the good work.
Definitely in the UK.
Exactly. So once again, my name is Todd Martin. I sit down in Miami Beach area, and I head up the partnership teams here at Pipeliner. And on the call with me today is Liz Young, and Liz runs the global services team for Pipeliner. So, and I got to tell you, Liz, we got a special guest today. I'm very excited about. Will, hello, welcome. Will is the CEO of Data Automation, and Will, it's really great to have you part of the
it is. Today. Join our happy crew.
Where are you sitting today? Where are you sitting today?
I am actually in Syracuse, Utah, and most of you are like, Syracuse? What the? Isn't that somewhere? Yeah. No, it's just outside of Salt Lake City, and loving it, loving life. We're a completely remote company, and it's fun to be close to family and hanging out all over the place.
Perfect. I'm probably getting some good skiing in, so nothing wrong with that.
There is good skiing over here. That is for sure.
All right. So, for all the Pipeliner customers out there, Will and I were talking, and we said, you know what's the best way to kind of, I don't know, let people know about what integrations are out there? What are the best ones? What are the top 10? And we said, Will brought up a thing, I'll give you full credit here. You said, let's educate to integrate. And I just thought that was really catchy. So good job. I won't take it from you. But it was like, I think we need to do more of that, right? And so Liz and I were talking, we're like, how can we get this included as one of our Wednesday webinars? And so I think, we'll go through today some of those top 10. Let's just touch on real quick here, Liz, before we kind of hand it over to Will to kind of dazzle us with all his magic there. But let's go ahead, because right now, what are you kind of seeing as the top ones, Liz, that when a customer first gets going, where do they go first with integrations? What's like the first thing they usually take on?
It has to be the emails. Yeah, has to be. Yeah, okay. So it's that Office 365, the Gmail. And of course, for those people who aren't on those yet, we've got the Exchange integration and so on, but everybody who is activating that Gmail, that Office 365 integration is loving what they get. All the emailing features in Pipeline or whatever. So that is like definitely up there at the top. And then, followed on by same sort of thing, those suites again, for the calendar maybe, or contacts. I'm a believer in the mobile app. I'm not a contact sync girl at all. Have to say it, just put it out there. I'm use the Pipeliner mobile app because it's so cool. But, people do have a need for it. So they are by far the ones that are top of the pile when it comes to switching on those integrations.
Exactly. So if you don't have anything switched on yet, number one thing to do, per Liz, the guru of all gurus of Pipeliner implementations, is get your email turned on. Especially if you're Outlook or Gmail, whatever it is, get it integrated. And I think all of a sudden that's just the start of everything that starts going. And get your Word, get your Excel, get all your apps dialed in with that native integration. It's free with all the different versions, and I think you'll really like it. There's other ones too, though, Liz. I don't want to kind of be remiss about it, because if we were to kind of take a look at on the Pipeliner site underneath the app marketplace, there's some other good native integrations that we've done. I think they've solved some good core items that people maybe have an application out there and they really want to be able to integrate it right to Pipeliner. And I think some of these are terrific. We've had other webinars about it, and we'll continue this. In fact, why don't we even make it like a series here where we talk about like one product, and maybe we'll bring Will back again for that. But like for example, with PandaDoc, or
that is
with
a sweet integration, that PandaDoc.
Yeah, that's good. Exactly. And there, there's some other ones in there with Acton and MailChimp. There's really good ones that are kind of part of the core native ones. On the website, there's more details details, and you can click in the app and activate it, or just give your account manager a call. So that's a key one. And if you're super duper technical and you have those resources, okay, this is a key thing. Have the resources. You maybe want to kind of dive in and take a look at our API directly. Okay, because it's really good. It really is. There's two flavors, right, Liz? The GraphQL as well as a RESTful API.
The RESTful API, yeah. And you'd be surprised how many customers really do this. There are lots of them there developing their own custom stuff. We can help out with some basic queries, via support and whatever, but generally they are just absolutely fine going it alone with the documentation. Our customers just amaze me.
Yeah, that documentation, and we rewrote it, a year and a half ago now, and it is, I think it's almost written where you don't have to have the most senior developer technician that you hire or employ to do that work. It's almost like you can hire maybe the new guy, right? The new gal, to really kind of do that, or more of a junior. So I just like to bring that up. It's included in our business and our enterprise versions, access to that API, and it's very pleasant. That said, not everybody has the time or the resources to really do it on their own. And that's really, Will, I think hopefully you can shed some light. In fact, what I'm going to do, Will, if this is okay, I'm going to stop sharing and let you take over and share your screen with it.
Good.
All right. Because tell us at high level, Will, what are you seeing out there as a data automation company? What are you hearing out in the market as far as like what people are doing and really what they're trying to get done when it comes to, CRMs and sales teams and automations? What are they missing out on?
I will tell you what. So Data Automation is a company that I founded back in 2016, and at the time, the reason I got it started is actually because I am one of the world's most lazy people. I am addicted to efficiency. My wife's like, seriously, we're going to automate that too. Like I am always interested in a better way, a faster way. This is 4 or 5 years before 2016, I was the low man on the totem pole at an agency where I was doing 16 hours a week of manual copying and pasting to create reports. And I was like, there's got to be a better way. This was all in Excel. Wow. And I started recording macros. So I take all the stuff from that spreadsheet and put it into that spreadsheet and move it around. and I thought, what if there would be more to this? And somebody showed me how to do VLOOKUPs, and my mind was blown. I was like, wait a minute, formulas. So I started Googling, and I probably spent, someday my old bosses are going to call me up and ask me for a check. I probably spent 300 some odd hours teaching myself to code in Visual Basic and to write all sorts of hairy, crazy Excel formulas that should probably have never been written, because I probably should have just learned to really code for realsies and do it elsewhere. But I was going to do it in Excel because that's what I knew how to do. And I took that 16-hour process and I cut it down to 2 hours a week. So at that point, I should be asking my old bosses for a check, right? Because I, just took that out. So maybe we balanced out. But I realized that the world needed automation experts or efficiency experts. So the original idea was to call this an efficiency consultancy, but I decided that sounded a little weird. So then an automation consultancy. Okay, yeah. A lot of people call them systems integrators. I actually didn't even know what a systems integrator was when we started, but that's kind of what data automation evolved and became. And that integrate or educate to integrate, that's a big piece of what we do. So we're Zapier certified experts, and there's a teaser, spoiler alert. In a minute here, we're going to talk to you. We're going to show you some of what's possible inside some of these pieces. And we're going to specifically show you the hidden integration. So in that list that Todd showed you before, Zapier was there. It was on the list, but notice we didn't even talk about it yet. The reason we didn't talk about it is because it is often unknown just how powerful that specific integration can be for the entire world of what's possible and where it goes and everything that's there. So we're gonna dig into that a little bit today and go there. But that's who I am. That's why, if you're even paying attention at all, why you shouldn't go to sleep at this point. I have been around the block a little bit with automation, and I'm here to educate people on what's possible, and I've got 10 examples of things that are solvable inside your CRM with your Zapier integration, and we're going to show you, some real nitty gritty on like, here's how this works, here's how it goes.
Perfect. Because well, I got to tell you, we talk a lot about like, what do customers, I talk to the sales team and ask them, what are some of the initial questions they come up with? And I got to tell you, leads come up a lot. Okay. and Liz, I'm sure when we're implementing, the first thing that comes up is leads, right? And I tell you, speed kills deals, kills leads, but it can also help you win leads and win deals. And so a lot of times we always talk about how can we take these leads, and most people have a website, that put in a form or answer a question. How can we take our website and turn it into not only a lead machine, right, but also to make that happen super fast. And so to integrate it and then automate it, I think maybe, is there any way we can kind of go like through a couple examples or maybe even just one, how that could work?
Spoiler alert, that's coming too. Okay.
Okay.
Without further ado, before we get, you're going to give my whole presentation here before I even get started. All right. So let me just go to who we are. We're an integration and automation consultancy based out of Athens, Georgia. My name's Will, right? We're approved development partners for multiple SaaS companies. So SaaS companies use us to bridge that gap. So Liz was saying, like, honestly, my customers amaze me. They know how to do this. They're using the API they've got on their own. When the customer has an issue, that's where we come in. So we're like the API experts that come in and help you connect all the stuff that's not working. We're a sister company to a company called Seller Labs. They're Amazon seller automation experts. So a lot in e-commerce, and we're part of a tech conglomerate called Roundsphere, where we are all about building companies from the ground up around tech. And that's a little bit of who we are. So let's get in. Here's our agenda. This is what we're actually going to talk about today. So Todd doesn't spoil anything more.
Come on.
coming here. So we're going to talk about, so now everyone's going to go to sleep. We're going to talk about automation theory. And what I mean by automation theory is what to automate and what not to automate. So I want you to picture, I've got my skull here, to be or not to be. what to automate, what not to automate. Okay. So it's really important that you understand that there are some things that you shouldn't touch with automation and some things that you should. And there's a time and place for that process to begin looked at as far as automation is concerned. We're also going to go into the how to set up some automations. We're going to talk about some pros and cons of some of the top automation platforms that are out there. We're going to talk about what is Zapier or Zapier. It's actually Zapier. Zapier makes you happier. They actually had to put that in the bottom on their tagline on their website so that people would remember, like, happier Zapier. That's like, yeah. It actually makes me laugh. The way that they came up with their name, this is amazing. If you cut off the Z and the ER at the end here, you will see that we are talking about the Zapier. That is the whole name. So Z, chop off the Z, top off the ER, API. You see it? The other API in the middle. That was the whole point of their name. So it's a versatile option that creates automations with every tool. We're going to talk about that more in a minute. All right, how to build your own Zap. We're actually going to get in there, and I'm going to show you how to connect some things. Pipeliner has a really amazing Zapier application, and it is very underutilized. So pretty exciting stuff for what's there. And we're going to go through and look at some of what's there. All right. So this is coming later in the presentation. I'm going to unveil it now to show you what's there, but we're actually going to, get our hands dirty, show you the UX UI, go in and actually show you how some of these things work. But these are some of the examples. So you mentioned new leads. Now, one of the cool things about Zapier is that it does multi-step applications. And what multi-step means is that down here on this side over here, you could say new lead comes in from LinkedIn, pop that into Pipeliner, and then you could actually, if there's a phone number, you could hook up Twilio and shoot text messages. I mean, there are 100 other things that you could do to make some automatic, immediate follow-up happen, but you don't have to copy and paste if you're ever pushing in there, okay? New lead comes in via email. So let's say it's coming in off of, we all get email leads, right? Lead comes in, it's sitting in the body, the text is just sitting there. We're going to show you how to strip out the email out of the middle of that text and push it into whatever system you're trying to push it into. And obviously in this situation, we're pushing it into Pipeliner. New Google Calendar appointment. So let's say that you have a Calendly, and that Calendly is, you've pushed that out there into some community and people are booking appointments with you, but those leads aren't yet in Pipeliner. We're going to show you how to take it from a calendar appointment and push it in there. A new contact in Marketo. We're going to talk about a new lead in Slack that goes into Pipeliner. And then I've got some other ones in here. And I'm actually going to go through these green ones on the top. We're going to go in and look at each one of these inside a Zap. These blue ones, we didn't get that far. We don't have enough time in the day to actually go through and show you the nitty gritty of each one of them, but these are also possible. So when I say new lead in WordPress, what I mean is new lead in Gravity Forms, new lead in Contact Form 7, new lead in, you name the WordPress plugin you're using to capture leads off the page. Many of them are already connected to Zapier, and you can just push those right in. And if they're not, they can go there. So new MailChimp subscriber, pushing that into Pipeliner. And you'll notice that I'm using the lead. This one is actually saying contact. It could be a lead, a contact, or an account. All of those are possible inside the Pipeliner integration. Liz helped me understand some pieces of that earlier this week, or end of last week. So excited to kind of show you there. Obviously, new survey response in Surveymonkey, right? So you can totally go through and update activity, push all of that information. So new Facebook leads is another one we threw out there. And then if you get a new Shopify customer, you can also push those in. So as you can see, that's a long list. We're going to go over these in detail later, but I wanted to kind of wet the palate, so to speak, to get that.
This is great. I mean, these are all brilliant. Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks for preparing it. I wish we had time for all 10. We'll have to come back and do another session, but
sounds like there's going to be another webinar Wednesday with Will. Hey, that was Webinar Wednesday. Oh, we're going to start automation Webinar Wednesday with Will. In automation. Totally stealing the Webinar Wednesday. That's awesome. All right. So that's kind of the mix of it. So let's go into what to automate, what not to automate. And obviously I wet the palate. I got everybody excited. Now we're going to go back to the boring theory, right? So this is the theory part. And before you tune out and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm done. I'm out, Will, this is dumb. Before you tune out, I want to point out really quick, when we talk about this theory, this is theory that's been generated probably over 1,000 workflows at this point. 1,000 different people who have had conversations with me and my team about, should I automate this? Or why should I automate this? Or how should I automate this? 1,000 different conversations. We've distilled those 1,000 different conversations. We're actually on 5 years, almost 5 years of experience in what to automate, what not to automate. And we're giving it to you now, totally free of charge. Actually, we'll be sending a credit card form out later. All right. So first, let's talk money. How long does it take? Oh, it takes me an hour a day. Well, how much money do you make an hour? Okay, well, what's that worth to you? Simple equation here, and you may not have thought of this, you may have thought of this, but 22 business days in a month, $20 an hour, that's $440 a month and $5,280 a year. So if you tell me I don't have an automation budget, but this thing that's currently taking me an hour a day, it's taking me an hour a day, but that hour a day is not costing me. No. Run the math. And if it's something that you're going to do in perpetuity, we could times that yearly number by 3 to 4 years, and it would probably be fairly accurate if you continue in the monotony of what you're doing right now. So when you go and you say, what's my ROI? I like to make my ROI back on automations within a year. So that's why I put out there $5,200. So if you're doing something that's currently taking you an hour a day and you figure out a way to automate it, your budget to automate that thing is $5,000.
I agree. And also, I got to tell you, Will, also, because, you think about, it only takes me an hour. And some people are like, well, maybe that person has an extra hour, right? But I think you have to look at some lost costs too, because we hear a lot of times like, okay, we get a new lead and it gets emailed, and then the person gets it in their inbox if they're in the office that day at that time, and then they do your copy paste that you love to do, right? And then, or they forward it to the sales team, right? And then that person gets it and they're supposed to do something with it. So automatically, without, even if they're in the office, it's a 3-hour delay. And probably if they hit it off hour, they're not really getting that lead the next day. And if you look at lead deterioration rates, a day late is way too long.
Yep.
So I think it's almost like take that into the equation too, because probably most people on the call, each deal is worth probably more than $5,000.
Yeah. So look at this right here. Well, most people on the call are probably making more than $20 an hour, right? So I mean, if you look at the different pieces, so is 5K all it's worth? That, Todd, are you giving this presentation to me? Like I feel like we've synced up here. Like that was exactly what what about human error? What about the mental energy that you just freed up to do something else in your business that's actually revenue generating? That's not even including the, hour a week. So really, really powerful piece of what's there. And I agree with you that taking a nap is important sometimes. So, sometimes you do have to factor that in. All right. So let's talk about the litmus test. This is how I decide whether or not something is ready to be automated. It should take more than 15 minutes per day, more than an hour per week, or more than an hour per month. So I ask myself, is this something I'm going to be doing for more than one of those time slots? If it is, I go and I write it down on a piece of paper. So get out your sticky note, write 15115 on the top of it. And the 15111 is 15 minutes a day, an hour a week, or an hour a month. And then you ask yourself, is this happening in perpetuity? Write that down. The 15115, the last part of it is 5 times manually. So you make sure that the thing you've done, you're going to automate, do it 5 times manually before you attempt to automate it. Because if you don't, you won't find the trues and falses around the left and right turns that you need to make to actually get there. So when you're looking for automation opportunities, many people come to me and they say, well, I don't actually know what I should be automating. Get out the sticky note, 15115, write down those things and put a tally mark next to those things. Once you hit 5, go and evaluate it for automation. If you're not sure how to automate it, contact support. If you're not, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, but that's where it goes. Then how difficult would it be to teach someone is the litmus test of just how automatable is this? If it's going to take you less than 15 minutes to teach someone else how to do it, and it's only taking you 15 minutes a day, that task is probably automatable. And if it's not automatable, it's delegatable, right? So we actually run a podcast called Automate, Delegate, Eliminate, where we talk about those 3 key pieces of like, what are you going to do? Automation is just the first step in like, okay, what should we actually be getting rid of and where does it go? Which is the eliminate portion of it, right? All right, so what to automate? And you've seen these. Oh, here we go. All right. So here's the 10 automations you're missing out on. And we're going to go through each one here. Let's open up. Come on, Zapier. All right. So this is the front end of Zapier. And this is right after you log in. It's going to show you several different pieces. And if you want to just start getting excited about ideas, you can start putting in and say, okay, I'm going to connect my pipeliner. No faster way to discover how bad you are at typing than to try to do it live on a webinar in front of, however many 100 people are watching. So it's just like, you can actually go in here at this point and I can say, okay, let's go type in Google Sheets or Google Calendar. And you can see it starts to tell you like, oh, here's some recommended workflows that are coming out of the bottom. So Zapier tries to make it really easy to give you all sorts of suggestions. Now, we've already got suggestions that we went through, and we're going to show you what those look like because we've already kind of mapped it out for you, so to speak. And we've done some of our homework ahead of time to kind of get there. So let's go to our Pipeliner webinar here. And you can see that we have some of our stuff already done. We're going to talk about the LinkedIn one first. Here's the anatomy of what you're looking at on the page. They have shared folders and private folders here. I recommend folders in any Zapier account. The folders generally, I recommend doing them based on the objects, like on client onboarding would be a great folder. Lead responding or leads would be a great folder. So for us, we've got a couple of different pieces here where we can see where we're pushing things to. And I want to dive in here to this bottom one. We're going to go new leads from LinkedIn.
Yeah, I get asked about this all the time, LinkedIn, because we have our Chrome extension that can do like some data scraping off LinkedIn, which is a good like step that I hear. I'm on the LinkedIn profile, I click the button, sucks them all in, which is great. But what's this new form response? When do people use that? Is that like for a LinkedIn campaign they're doing?
Yeah, so let me show you this. So LinkedIn has this really cool feature.
Not to make you go backwards here for a minute.
No.
Sometimes we get like the sales managers on the calls and they're like, wait, is that what they're talking about?
So LinkedIn has, let's see, lead gen forms. So let me show you this one. So if many of you just saw that, they were like, wait a minute, what did he just do? So I literally Googled on the fly, on the spot in a webinar, and I found you a page that's going to describe exactly what this is. Google is our best friend. We're going to talk about that more in a minute. But you can see here, this is a LinkedIn ad, and it has a sign up button there at the bottom of it. And you can see that you type in that email address, and then they have all of the other information about the company pre-filled for the person, and they can literally just hit submit. Goes through, comes into your inbox, and does everything that's there. So LinkedIn has the capability to push these leads directly into your system, and that's what this new form response is this really cool thing. And these lead gen campaigns are actually very, very simple in terms of the setup and what's there. And they're not terribly expensive, and you can get uber granular. I can go industry, I can go job title, I mean, think about it. When you're doing a LinkedIn search and you're searching for leads, those same things are available to create this very simple ad campaign to push that in there, and we can push those automatically into Pipeliner. So when you're setting this up, this is called a trigger, and this trigger could be anything, right? So LinkedIn lead gen forms, any one of 2,000 plus applications could be the trigger. In this instance, I chose this one. Then I chose my account and I connected it to my lead gen forms account. And when you connect accounts, you'll see that it actually pops up like this. It's all totally secure. It's sitting right in there. And it pushes it through where we want it to go, right? And we can connect the dots, which is what I did earlier. Then I connected it to a specific account and to the lead gen form that I generated for what's in there. Then Zapier wants you to go in here and get some test data. And I'm going to show you where that test data comes in. So then you hit continue, and Zapier wants you to then create what they call an action or a search. So this is an action. And in this situation, it's actually technically a search, because it's actions kind of fall into the search category, and vice versa. So we've chosen Pipeliner Cloud as our option, and the way you do that is you literally, search for it, comes up, there's Pipeliner Cloud. Then you can do any one of these things, and we're going to focus on these ones on the bottom here. These are our searches. So I can find an account, I can find an appointment, I can find a contact, a lead, an opportunity, a task. This is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Like if you're watching this and you're like, wow, I didn't know you could do all of that stuff. This is a very well-built Zapier integration in terms of the number of things that are possible, because it makes it so that you can kind of put it into your business flow. So think about all the times that you're currently going in and you're like, okay, I got a new lead off of LinkedIn, off of that, off of the lead gen form, or I got a new lead off of anywhere. And then I'm going to go push that information into Zapier. First step is to go check whether or not that's a duplicate, right? Like let's not make a duplicate lead, because that, that creates all sort of havoc. So we did find contact. And as we get down here, you can see that you can actually connect your Pipeliner account. I'll show you what that looks like here. The Pipeliner account opens up, and you'll need to be an admin to go through this section. But you can see it asks for the API token, the API password, the space ID, and the service URL. All of that information is very easily available. This link takes you to a page that explains how to get all of that. Really, really straightforward in terms of doing it. And the cool part is, once it's connected in here, you can see I don't have to go do it again every time. It's just there ready for me to use again and onward and forever. So now you can see I can do my search operator, and I can search for this lead that came in. So I went in earlier and I did my LinkedIn test, and I pushed an email through here. So the steps here, if you're attempting to follow this specifically, log into your LinkedIn account, go ahead and create a campaign around this, and go all the way to the step where you create the form. Once you've created the form, click on the form. It'll open up on LinkedIn as a sample. You'll be able to fill out your own form and get the test data that you need. So that's a quick trick in terms of getting there. Once you get it in there, I can search for that. And when I search, what happens is it comes in and it shows me, hey, here's the lead. Uh-oh, this one is in fact already in the system. So you can see if that one's already in the system, then I can quickly go and say, uh-oh, if it's already in the system, don't do anything, stop. And so Zapier actually gives me the ability to say, if that lead exists, stop, using a filter step. So it's got that if then statement. It actually goes a step further in some of their higher tiered plans. They have paths. So you can say, if the lead exists, go update activity saying that they have filled out a new lead gen form. If it doesn't exist, create a brand new lead. Now, obviously, I'm just showing you the filter step, but it is possible to do the paths version as well. So I would say, if this ID does not exist, then I want you to only continue if this ID exists, essentially is what it is. So if it doesn't exist, if it does exist, stop. And if it does not, then continue forward. So that's going to allow us to make it sure that we don't have any duplicates coming in. And now this last step, we're actually going to create that contact. Now, obviously a contact has to be associated with different levels of accounts and objects inside Pipeliner. So it's important that you have those other pieces connected. For the purpose of our demonstration, I just did contact, but I can easily add another step in here, and I can go Pipeliner, right? Pull in my cloud option here. And you'll notice when I select this, let's say I want to go, okay, let's create a new account. And you'll see that this lets me, oh, I'm going to select my account. So notice I didn't have to put in my API key or anything like that again to get where we're going. Come down here, it gives me all the fields that I'm supposed to do, asks me for the ones that are required, puts in my sales unit, right? So I can push in all of these different pieces, create my account, and then when it gets down to this step, I can pull that same account in using the ID to create the Pipeliner contact associated with that account, and keep going down and all around the different pieces. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I see that. I remember when I first started with it, well, it was like, I was so happy just to get the contact done, and then like, as we use Zapier internally here also, then it's like, well, wait a minute here, but let's first check for the contact. If it's not there, do this, and then create an account, and then you create the contact, and then next thing you know, we're creating a lead, we're creating, this, it just kind of builds up here. It kind of like, you kind of grow into them a little bit, right? I like that. Yeah.
So your first Zap that you turn on may really be 3 or 4 of these long. I did one the other day. This is a couple months ago, 32 steps. We had 32 different separate actions that we were taking, and it was pulling data from Slack, and it was pushing data over here. And we eliminated some really crazy, hairy stuff with that automation. So you can see here, it's same thing. We're going to set up that contact, and we're going to push that data in to the different pieces so that and we map it out. So like here we go. Let's get the first and last name here. So I'll show you what that looks like. When you open this up, you can see it brings in all the test data associated with this individual. So you can see that, here's the description of what was in the ad, shows me all of the different data fields, and that can get a little overwhelming at times. So you can actually search for it. So let's say I'm like, I'm really looking for last name. So if I search, you can see here I go, okay, I got last name, and I can pull it either from here or from here. In this situation, I'm going to pull it from that top one. And you can see now, every time I get a last name, it's not going to be Christensen every time. It's going to map the right context to the right piece of what's there. So then you got your first name here, and same thing, open this up. Oh, it's right there. I can just click on it, or I can search across all of them and pull in the first name. Okay. And
you're going fast. You're going fast here, which is good. But I think everyone on the call needs to know that instead of hitting rewind, which they'd like to hear you again, I know.
Yeah. No,
but I think what we're getting at here is any data points that you're capturing or you have it in Pipeliner can go back and forth. I think just keep that in mind at the end of the day. So
yes, agreed. And I appreciate you pointing that out for me, that I was going a little fast. So this allows you to, as you can see here, we have our create contact. Remember, this is an action. So going back over this again, just for everybody who's getting in here, I'm going to annotate on the screen a little bit to give you this. So this is our trigger, and it can listen to anything. So in a minute here, we're going to look at like listening to a Google Calendar. And right here, this is our trigger. It listens, and it listens for something new in another system. Then these all below here are actions. So the first thing we do is we search inside the system for a duplicate. Then if there is not a duplicate, we continue forward. That's what this if then part is for. Then we create an account and a contact inside Pipeliner. So each step down the pipeline gives us that ability to go one step closer to actually creating this. Now, when we're actually setting it up, after we've connected our account, we have this action part. And this action part is where you go in and you choose the data. So let's say that in this situation, zip code. Well, let's see if we have zip code available to us. So I can type in here and I can say zip code. You can see it is showing me a zip code, but it's a zip code of a lead that was in step 2. Well, in this situation, if step 2 exists, we're stopping it right here. So that's not the zip code I want to put in right here, because in this situation, we only want to continue if step 2 doesn't find something. So what we're really looking for is zip code out of step 1. Well, there is no zip code in step 1, so we're not going to map that field. And then you can go down the pipe. Well, I knew first off, right off the bat, that for this one specifically, I knew that this primary email address, I knew I had an email, I knew I had a last name, and I knew I had a first name. And so I kind of cheated and skipped through each of those. But if your lead form has a phone number, I can map that as well. Okay. And you can see here's our account name, and you can assign that to those different pieces. This account can actually be pulled from our account step as well, rather than just choosing one manually. So I'll show you what that looks like. If you hit custom right here, you can choose one of these as your account name to let it push in to what's going on, and then it'll go across. So that's an important piece of the puzzle, so that you can see it go to wherever it is. In this situation, for demonstration purposes, I just put it in as one of the accounts to kind of show you where that goes.
This is fantastic. That is fantastic.
So
Great.
so this is what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to show you what it looks like to get in and understand what you're up against in terms of taking this to the next level, to get you going once you're inside Pipeliner and working on those things. So we talked about new lead from LinkedIn. Let's talk about this next one here, which is the new lead coming in via email. So this is when a new lead comes in, and we see kind of how that looks as it comes in. We're going to come back up here to our top level. And what we've done now is we just navigated out of a Zap, and we have navigated now, we're back into what's called a folder inside Zapier. And we're going back to our Pipeliner webinar folder, right? And we're going to go look here, and you can see I've already done some work ahead of time for demonstration purposes to kind of show you what it would look like to pull in a lead. Okay. So in this situation, we have now swapped out, remember, so basic, what we talked about before, that top one up there, you can see it actually says trigger. So I'm gonna use my little spotlight thing here. So this little red dot, think of it as the evil Tinkerbell, because she's red instead of white, right? So she's got to be evil. But the evil Tinkerbell is over here on top of the trigger, right? And that trigger is what's, remember, listening for something. So in this situation, it's listening for an email coming into Gmail. Now, this could be connected to any email client. There are other email clients in here, but we're using Gmail or Google Apps Suite as our example. So I have a search string associated with this. And yes, it does say Marvel lead on there. And the reason it says Marvel lead is because we're huge Marvel fans over here. And we love to mess around anytime we're doing a demonstration with superhero names, because why not? I tell people, if you're gonna hire a nerd, he'd better be able to prove that he's a nerd. And so we prove it by showing us how much Marvel awesomeness we have in there. Hopefully we never get sued for copyright. All right, so as you can see in here, we have a lead and a whole bunch of stuff in here. But here, look, oh, here's the subject line. So the subject line came in and says new Marvel lead on it. So it matched the search. Now I can take that data and I can map it down to everything that's coming in. So again, same exact process. In this situation, we hard coded Captain Marvel as the name. It's important that when you recognize, I often will tell people, like, put in all caps, rename this lead when it comes in, because sometimes you won't have exactly the right data coming out. You can, if you'd like to. So let's say that you have a lead coming into your email and you have, very succinct fields where it says company name, colon this, all of that. There's another step, another piece. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek into another way that you could do this. Zapier has a thing called an email parser that you can use as well. And an email parser allows you to create an email. I'm actually going to sign up right now and show you what their email parser looks like.
Ooh.
So this email parser, when it comes in, it allows you to create a custom email address, and you would create an email forward in your inbox that goes here to this. And then when you go in, you can see the emails and you'll actually be able to, put them in. So you can see, where it goes and all of the different pieces of how it's pushed in there, selecting all of those different pieces. So really, really powerful in terms of parsing the email and picking it apart to some of those different sides of what's there. And then that'll give you individualized fields that you can push through. So email parser is a free one that's associated with Zapier. We've had mixed luck with it. Sometimes it works perfectly depending on how complex our email is. Sometimes it's a little finicky and it doesn't always do fields. One that I've used 100 times and it works every single time is called Mailparser.io. I love Mailparser.io. It is an additional cost that you have to do. And if you're doing thousands of these, it can get a little expensive. Data automation has some bulk options that you can do as well. So email parsing on a simple level, totally free option inside there. Mailparser does as well. Data automation has a bulk one that we can do as well. So all of this is possible. And then you can push that lead or that account or that company or that contact into Pipeliner. Anything that I've missed there, Todd, that I should add?
No, 100%. Got it.
Nailed it. All right.
Nailed it.
So let's go to our next one. My kids. So I had a quick anecdote. If your kids like TV and most kids like TV, but one show that we like watching together is Nailed It, the TV show with the cooks.
Yeah.
They get on there, and my kids love just screaming at the top of it at the end when they bring out the really ugly cake.
Yeah.
All right. So new survey response in Surveymonkey. Let's show you what that looks like. So on that one, let's see here. So I'm going to actually create that one from scratch. I'll show you what that looks like. So, we're going from scratch here. So I hit create.
Live.
He's doing it from scratch live. So from here, I hope, man, that Nailed It was not a really good thing to say. I probably have screwed this up if I'm building the cake from scratch, and hopefully this doesn't go as bad. All right. So in this situation, as I pull this up, we're going to go with Pipeliner, right? So we're going to go in. Oh, and here we go. I totally fudged it up first thing. It's actually a good moment though. Most of the things we've talked about putting data into Pipeliner. What if you want to take data out of Pipeliner? You didn't know it yet, but there are actually options to take things out of Pipeliner. So quick tangent. These are all of the different things. And notice the instant here. This means that instantaneously, as soon as that happens, you can trigger something else to happen. So let's say that you wanted to send a follow-up email. Obviously, a lot of that automation is available inside Pipeliner. But let's say that maybe you're inside a company where they won't allow you to use that connection for some reason, or you've got some sort of other external system that you want to do, or you're using Mailchimp or Marketo or one of these other systems. You want to add them to a specific campaign or tag them in a certain way. I can do that based off of all of this information: updated account, updated appointment, updated lead, updated opportunity. All of that's available to push into another system. All right. Back to our regular programming. What we were actually trying to do here is that new survey response inside Surveymonkey. Now remember, these are like Legos. Once I teach you how to connect one Lego to another, you then know how to connect all the rest of the Legos. So the first Lego here that we're looking for is Surveymonkey. So there's Surveymonkey, it comes right up, and I can choose new response notification or new response notification with answers. So I can choose that with answers option, hit continue here, choose my account, and poof, we've got that first piece of it. Now, for the sake of this demonstration, we are not paid Surveymonkey users. So we actually did some testing. You do need a paid version of Surveymonkey to make this work. So I'm going to take you as far as I can without that paid account. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you can see that I can search through, I can grab my specific pieces. I can even specify a specific collector. In this situation, I don't have a collector that's specified. And then I can test that and it'll come in. Now, testing it in this situation, it's going to say, you don't have anything. We figured out that the reason that is because we don't have that paid Surveymonkey account. But with your paid Surveymonkey account, you'll have that. And then you go in and you get the next piece of the Lego. So down here, the next piece of the Lego was that we wanted to update something in Pipeliner. So again, we're going to go to our Legos here. We go Pipeline Cloud. Here it comes. And in this situation, I want to update an opportunity. And so you'll find that when I go and build something like this, I'll go in, I'll choose my account. Here it goes to my next one. And I go
similar flows.
Similar flow, yeah.
Yeah, very similar flow. But the one thing I do want to point out here is, do you see how it's got the first step here is that they're wanting to pull in an ID field here. This ID is associated with, if you look at those, you can tell those are accounts inside my system. When I pull in that ID, that means that I probably need a search step up here that's going to pull in that ID to get us where we want to go. Because as of right now, I have to choose one. And if I choose it, that means all of the updated activities going to go under blue ink.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yep.
I want it to actually go to the right person. So that's when, oops, I forgot to add a search step in here. So you guys thought it was exactly the same. I threw a curveball at you there. You do need to have a search step in here, and you got to decide, what's the best way to go in and find that piece so that you can then go. So just for those of you who actually set that all the way up here in this ID field, instead of just choosing from this list, this little piece here often gets overlooked. You have to click on custom, and then you would be able to go in from this pipeliner here, and there would be an ID field that you can map, and then that opportunity would just get updated exactly.
Pro tip of the day.
Yeah,
nice.
love that.
Do not miss right here. This piece right here. So Liz is praising my name from now till eternity because I just eliminated 100 support tickets.
Exactly.
But this custom field right here is often overlooked, and this is where you'll be able to pull in that ID once you've done the proper search step to push the whole thing live and get it pushed into exactly where it needs to go.
Lovely.
Nice. Hey, Will, we are kind of coming up close to the end here.
Yep.
Right. So and I know we can go through all of these, and there's unbelievable examples.
So let me just round through these last couple here. So Marketo, same building blocks. Trigger, go find it in Marketo. New contact in Pipeliner. New Slack message, same building blocks. Go search for the trigger. New lead in Pipeliner, pushes straight through. WordPress, same thing. And you come down through new calendar appointment, new MailChimp subscriber, all of these different pieces, same building blocks. So like you guys said, very similar process. It's exactly right. So that is kind of the gist of where to go. So what not to automate, what to automate things that don't involve big invoices, things like that, or financial pieces of it. And if it needs an extra set of eyes on execution before it goes, you can actually do that with Zapier as well. So
nice.
Pretty exciting stuff in terms of what's possible.
Perfect. This has been fantastic.
Great. Yep.
Yeah. And I think with Zapier, and we talked a lot about Zapier today, I think they're having almost 3,000 applications they're integrating to. I think that's just so many to even fathom.
Yeah, more than one a day. More than one a day is being added to their application. And obviously, and there are some others that we didn't get to because we didn't have time. We wanted to dig in and give you guys a real look at what's possible. and
Yeah.
you know, get your hands dirty and you go that fast.
And one thing, just as we wrap up here, I think it's good to know that could someone just go to Zapier.com, sign up for an account, and do all and figure all this out on their own? Sure, you know, just like with Pipeliner, you can sign up for Pipeliner and do it all yourself. Sometimes that care that Liz gave to an account or her team gave to the account really kind of get them from, I call it 0 to 10, right? 0, nothing, 10 up and running and marching forward. I think that's a service similar to what you offer, Will, where we can say data automation, hey, this is what I need to do. It passed the litmus test. So how do we then go from 0 to 10? And I think that's the real, I think, core reason why we wanted you on here today, Will, because Liz and I hear this time and time and time again. And it's been fabulous. Thank you so much for your time, Will. I really appreciate it. And if someone wants to get in touch with you, you know, or they have a question or what, sometimes they just have that question. Can you help them out at the beginning a little bit for Pipeliner customers?
No, absolutely. So anybody who's listening to this, we'll do some automation mapping for you, 100% free. It's usually like a 20 to 30 minute call where we actually diagram out what you're looking to automate. If it's a quick question on Zapier, you ask my sales rep, ask the other individuals in the company. Hit me up on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to if you're looking for that free, the little free 20-minute thing, where we give you a tutorial on Zapier. Happy to do that for you as well. Just mention this webinar, and we'll do that. If you want to test out some automations, go check out dataautomation.com and fill out any one of our contact forms. You'll see what it looks like to automate a sales process, because we will automatically respond to you within, you know, a few minutes, and you can kind of see how we go about making that process easier for people to interact with us, but also automate it for us.
Wow, this is terrific. Will, thank you. Liz, thank you. Until next week, everybody, have a great day. And once again, thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
That was fab.